Alright, so a lot of you have been asking how I do Barrows, so here is said video of how I do Barrows. So first of all, the gear. So you'd be pretty silly to not use Range Void and Blowpipe against the rim, because it absolutely tears through him. Like he's one of the quickest brothers to kill if you have Blowpipe and Void. And then I mage every other brother, and in case you don't know, or you're new or something, I've tried basically like every setup. I've tried like Bandos with barraging and then farcasting them. I've tried Graceful. I've tried other variants of Void. I've tried loads of variants, like loads of different gear setups. And I think this is probably the one I will stick with forever. So let's go through each piece one by one. So Void Ranger Helm, that's self-explanatory. It's Range Void. Occult Necklace for the plus 10% mage damage. RD Cloak was originally for stab bonus and mage bonus, but it actually has, if you look at the prayer, it has like ridiculous plus 6 prayer bonus, so yeah, that's the reason I have this now. This wall blessing, this can be any wall blessing, it just gives you plus 1 prayer bonus for no reason, so why not use it? Trident of the Swamp, it doesn't have to be Trident of the Swamp, you could use Trident of the Seas or Iban's Staff, but Trident of the Seas really. This could easily be a Book of Darkness, as the Book of Darkness gives more prayer bonus. It doesn't give as much mage bonus, but mage bonus doesn't really matter. But the reason I use an Arcane is because it gives mad defense bonus, or it gives better defense bonus than a Book of Darkness. Also, the Book of Darkness weighs less, and that is a factor that I'll get onto later. I've got the Elite Void because of prayer bonus, the Tormented Bracelet because plus 5% mage damage, and a lot of people have been commenting, arguing like, you should use Mage Void because it will be better than, because Mage Void gives plus 30% accuracy, and I've tested it. I've done 500 chests with each setup being Tormented Bracelet and no Mage Void. Obviously you can't use Mage Void and Tormented Bracelet because you need to wear the gloves, so you can't wear the bracelet. And I was using less charges when I used the Tormented Bracelet, meaning I was doing higher damage on average with the Tormented Bracelet, so yes. And the Pegasian Boots, now these are quite a game changer in the weight department, because before I was using Boots of Lightness, which took my weight down to 24 or 26 kg, which allowed my agility to get drained to like the lowest it possibly can by Kirill, which is like 12 or something. He'll struggle to get you much lower than that because of the regen. And you could go down to 12 agility with Boots of Lightness and you wouldn't run out of energy. But if he does drain you down to 12 agility, and you do a fast Barrows run, and you get a really long tunnel, then you'll run out of energy with the Pegasian Boots. And that is why I've got the super restores. I'll get onto them later. Let's explain well, Archer's Ring. I had a Seer's Ring before, but Mage Bonus doesn't matter. So, and also the Archer's Ring is getting scaled up by Void, and the Seer's Ring wasn't, obviously. Now, this gear, so the Blow Pipe, oops. So arrows, it has plus 10, plus 4 range attack, and its effect, obviously, which retrieves most of your darts that you fire. The Necklace of Anguish, it gives some range accuracy and some range strength. It's always good, and some prayer bonus. And of course the Void Gloves, because full Void. The Blowpipe is quite expensive to kill KC with, and I do use the Blowpipe to get KC with. But when I go down to the tunnels, I switch into my Salve Amulet. The Salve Amulet I only use against skeletons, and you kill 3 skeletons for max runes, and I just get 3. I can't bother to get 5, so getting 5 just unlocks 2 half keys, D-meds, and the maximum amount of bolt racks. You could downgrade the Blowpipe to a Krill's Crossbow because it is quite expensive to use against skeletons, but at that point I think it'd just be worth bringing a whip and just whip to kill the skeletons. Now, like I was saying, weight is very important. If you go above, in this gear setup, if you go above 40 kg and then your agility gets drained to around 30, you're going to have problems. You're going to start running out of energy before you get to the chest and that. So you're thinking, how do you even get above 40 kg? This is all your gear. If you get a plate body or plate legs from the chest, they're very heavy, like over 10 kg, and that's why I have imp boxes. They're 1 kg each, and I just use them to bank only the I think Darrok's Great Axe weighs a lot, and then all the plate bodies and all the plate legs, because they all weigh loads. The helms and some of the weapons are fine, but the rest weigh quite a lot, so I just use them to bank to get my weight back down. And the super restores, this is to restore my agility when it goes to like 30 or something. If I'm in the tunnel and a brother, usually it's Darrok, because Darrok can max to 70. If Darrok would hit me below 70 hit points, I'll drink a super restore and just pray melee, if that was in the tunnels, because I don't want to take the risk of dying, because that's just a pain. But most of the time he won't even hit me because like the arcane defense bonus and stuff. Bear in mind as well, I'm only 85 prayer, so if you're 99 prayer, you could like easy, you probably, like very rarely would you need to use a super restore for the prayer aspect. And then range potions, because why not? It makes your max hit go up by like plus 3 or 4, I think, and increases your accuracy, makes you tear through a room that much more faster, and you can hit skeletons easier, and you've got inventory space to spare, so there's no point. And then obviously Spade to get into the things. Desert Amulet, I forgot to mention this whole setup revolves around the Desert Amulet, being every time you teleport with it, it teleports you right next to an altar, which restores everything. I say everything, it doesn't restore everything, it just it restores your HP, your prayer, and your run energy. It doesn't restore any drained stats, as you can see. In the Rune Pouch, what is in the Rune Pouch? Runes for the Barrows teleport. Those runes cost about 1k-ish per teleport, and is much cheaper than using Barrows tabs. I'm sort of jumping around a bit, but you could downgrade. If you're lazy, you could just like not use this or this, and use a ranged cape trimmed instead, or just a normal range cape if you're 99 range, because then you get 4 prayer bonus versus this 6, and then the attack bonus doesn't really matter, and it has more defense bonus, and it has the Ava's effect, but you don't get Ava's range attack. That's why I opt to go for these 2 different capes rather than just the range cape. Also, this is like only like 5 or 10% better damage wise than this, so if you haven't got this, you could just use this. But if you haven't got an anguish necklace, like you've just got a fury or whatever, you definitely want to use the Salve Amulet EI. I think that's about covered it. I'll show you a few trips, and then any comments, any questions in the comments, and I will do the answerings.